has any questions, interrupt as we go through this. And I also thought really the intent was to try to get this information out to all cohorts so that they understand, especially for new ones, like, I'm fairly new with cohort 5, is that we know what opportunities are out there and we have an idea of the day-to-day life of someone who's volunteering. So unfortunately not a lot of people come to the monthly meetings, but that's just my 2 cents on maybe how we get these spotlights out. I mean, I don't know how to get it out, but that it should go out to a wider group. So I'm going to go over the project that I was involved with in the last few months, which is Living River of Words, Youth, Arts, and Science. And this is a project, I'm sure there's a couple of people, or if not more, on the phone who've been involved in this, but it's a partnership between our Pima County Master Naturalists and Pima County, who's also our sponsor, but it's the Natural Resources, Parks, and Rec Department. And this Living River of Words program is a regional, Pima County is a regional coordinator for an international program called River of Words, which is was started and run by St. Mary's College in California. So I just wanted to go over some background on this. I talked about the sponsor, the name of the project. This program was started in 2006 and it's done annually. It just wrapped up with all submissions for the contest due February 1st. And it really generally runs October, November, December. This year, because of scheduling, it ran into January, but it wrapped up. I think the last was about the 3rd week of January, the last of the field trips. So the intent of this is to introduce, and it's all Tucson Unified School District, grades K through 12, to watersheds and wetland habitats through multidisciplinary series of science investigation and the practice of poetry and visual arts that accompany that. So students practice skills that they would need as a scientist and an artist. And for me, this really spoke to probably my 2 biggest passions. So I thought it was really good. Like, this program is fantastic because the intent of it is spot on with trying to get kids to stop, listen, look at what goes on in the natural world around them. And hopefully that will instigate some creativity. And how that's done is through a series of field trips where students participate in activities and their impressions may be shared with this competition. And that's what the competition is, submitting poetry, photography, or visual arts to this contest in its first Pima County contest. And then the finalists from that go on to the international competition for River of Words. And I'm actually going to help with the judging of it next week to get everything done so that we have the finalists. The locations of this, the field trips were done at 4 different locations, Agua Caliente. I know Franklin was definitely at that one. Mission Garden, I did not do that one. Historic Canoe Ranch and Santa Cruz River. And I think in all, I probably did 5 of these. And I would say time requirement was pretty much as many of them as we could volunteer for. It worked out with me to do 5 of them. And it's one of the things that is not great about it is it's because it's a school program, it's during the week. And so any of our master naturalists who have day jobs would never be able to do this. I'm fortunate that I recently don't have a day job, so I was able to do it. And there were 18 field trips in total. So what we did, and with the skills that were needed to participate in this, was really being able to work with the kids. And it's, helping out with all of the different stations that we set up and helping the students and really giving them inspiration, and not just with the logistics helping, but as, if you enjoy it, and I certainly did, is to really look at the kids individually and say, you know, how can you just make one, even if it's 5 minutes or less, is to impact a kid to look at something out in nature that would really spark their interest, inspiration, and that awe towards the natural world. And then logistically, we had to walk around, set up stations, and assist the biology staff from Pima County however we could. And there was training that was provided ahead of this time for the program from Pima County Parks and Rec that went over how to do the water stations and how to really work with the kids. So that was really helpful. And then the individual activities for each of the field trips is we began or tried to begin with an exercise called I Notice, I Wonder, It Reminds Me Of. And the intent there was to take the kids, make them sit down, you know, ideally an arm's length. They would hold their arms out, not sit together, and just be still and look around and really observe. And I will say that that didn't always work out. Probably more times than not, it didn't really work out. And a lot of that was whomever was running the field trip for the day from Pima County and how much tolerance they had for it. And then the water stations, we had 2 water stations. There may have been multiples of these, but 2 different types. One was water quality testing, where we tested, dipped into the whatever water we were next to and tested temperature, pH, turbidity, dissolved oxygen, nitrates, electric conductivity. And that was all recorded in the journals. The kids did their own recording of all of this. And then the other station was for macroinvertebrates, and that one we really that one I did, I think all of them I did that one, and it was some days better than others because we had an incredible assortment of macroinvertebrates that we pulled up, and the kids were fascinated. I don't think I saw any kid that wasn't fascinated with this. Male, female, no matter what, they were interested in things that were moving around in the water. And then we did dipping to get ready for the stations, prepare the instruments, and then just really helping the students, you know, buddying up next to them, looking where some of them need more help than others, and especially on recording and drawing in their journals. And I will say that you really observed how there was difference in learning levels in the same, and these were 1 grade per field trip, and you could see a 5th grade class where someone was not even good at really writing. And there were others that were, you know, cruising along and doing it. So you could really easily pick up on where the kids needed more help than others. And I know for you who have a teaching background, this is a no-brainer, but for me, it was really quite interesting. And then herding the cats, there's a lot of that because the kids, even on all age groups, tend to wander off and you know, whatever. So you just kind of have to get them engaged and pull them back in. And then each of those field trips also had a station that included one of the 3 arts which they would be submitting for the project: photography, poetry, or visual arts. And then the field trips, just a few snapshots that we took along the way. I think a lot of these are at the Santa Cruz River. Actually, most of them are at the Santa Cruz River. And then the last slide I have is some of the winners from last year's contest. One on the left is visual arts, the photography, and the poetry, just to give you a sense for this project. And they put this up. It's traveling right now and on the website for this program with Pima County. It lists the traveling exhibit in all of the locations. It's libraries, it's Agua Caliente, it's all over the place. And that goes on through April. And then they take that down, and about that time we'll start up with the new one from 2022. And that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Marcia. I was over at Agua Caliente, I think it was last weekend, a while ago anyway. or during the week, whatever. And in the education building, they have up a lot of the kids' work for Living River of Words. And
Right.
so do they like divvy it up at different places, or is it one large exhibit that travels?
I think it's one large exhibit of the group that's why they call it a traveling exhibit, because
Okay,
not unless, and I'm not positive about that, they may switch and maybe just move it around, but
Hmm.
they also put out a booklet. This is, I probably can't see that very well, but it's like, it has all the finalists art in it. It's a really nice book that can be picked up.
yeah,
I-
it was very cool.
Kind of our group, I mean, I know Franklin, because he and I were on the same field trip, but I don't know anybody else from the Master Naturalists that did this. Melly was,
I did it many times.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kelly
okay.
did it a couple times with us.
And I did it a couple times too. And I think that the artwork that you're looking at now
oh,
is
Vicky, yeah.
last year's artwork. This year's artwork, I was working on the database a couple weeks ago, you know, entering in the entries for this year. And I think that those all are with the EE people.
Yeah,
environmental.
that's what I mentioned is this is
Right.
2021 winners that you're looking
Right.
at the slide, and this exhibit is 2021.
Right, I think there's more than one. I think they just took those and put them up in various places. But I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
Good presentation, though. That covered everything. Thank you, Marcia.
Yeah.
Sure.